Alright, stage 4 of Singapore Grand Prix 2020 preparations. Alright, what do we got? Last free practice session. Alright, and then we'll be heading into the qualifying tomorrow for stage 5. But for now, 4 goals, and looks like we're going to be starting out with an average speed challenge. So 200 kph is the target. So all right, and we got 2 laps to do it. A little bit underwater in terms of recommended PR, but that's nothing new, so doesn't really mean much. So all right, here we go. Looks like we're starting a little bit before the beginning of the lap, so we got a very short out lap. But that is more or less the faster sector, part of the circuit that you can more or less take it almost flat out, right? Alright, this is crucial right-hander to reach the top speed. And at the end, the color of the pavement changes, which is about where you can kind of consider slowing down. Depending on the car, your braking point might vary tiny bit, and obviously number of tunings will also change your braking points. But yeah, so, and this one's a pretty fast corner, and over the bridge, followed by the sharp hairpin that leads into another pretty fast sector, but not long enough, so not quite long enough to get kind of the top speed that we got on in the first long straight that we got in the first sector, sort of at the tail end of the sector 1, right? And then this last part of the circuit gets very curvy, so it will bring down your speed, like average speed, so you got to make sure you bank up plenty prior to entering into that final sector to make sure that you can take on some of the loss in average speed. And when you cross that finish line, if you are above the target, above 200 kph, then you can pull it off on the second lap, more or less, since you can do the same kind of line. Alright, so quick, another sharp right-hander. That one you have to be careful. As you notice, I was skidding out just a little bit upon exiting. So yeah, that corner is a bit trickier. And then we got the combination here onto the bridge. Once again, followed by that hairpin. There we go. Leads into this long bridge. We can see some, when you watch it on the aerial view replay, get the nice water reflection, pretty cool looking. And then the final bit here, where you really cannot go, cannot carry too much speed, and you carry what you can, but there's a limit because of all the quick corners that come in your way. And there we go. With some extra speed to spare, which comes in, handy. All right, 3 minutes 2 seconds and change, and that is worth just under 20,000 motorsport dollars for 2 laps around Marina Bay. All right, so that's a good 11 seconds ahead of Hamilton. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me in the rear end. Alright, so goal 1 down, on to goal 2, and this one, we gotta hit the top speed this time, finish under 350, and 200 84, yeah, 285 is really, I mean, decimal point, right? It's one of those instances where imperial unit is easier to keep track of without having to put up with the decimal point. So anyway, two fastest sectors of the circuit. This is fast but not long enough. So unless you have more, tunings and faster accelerating car, I don't think you'll be able to hit the target speed challenge there. So it's coming out of this final sector. Here we go. And this right-hander is where you gotta start, building up your speed. And maybe lift off just a little bit around the gas, depending on your car once again. And then there you go. You can reach the top speed there. And then if I didn't slow down as much, I probably could have hit the top speed one more time by, just like coasting just a little bit and jumping back on the gas. But that's okay. And of course, this is the other tail end of this first sector that is the longest straight, technically. So another spot, you can kind of do the same thing. So, and since we do have another lap, basically do the same thing in the next lap, then you would have met that goal of hitting the top speed requirement 4 times. So, whoa. And we do have to finish under the time limit, but that shouldn't be too bad. Generally, when they have goals like this with a time limit, that just means they're just trying to prevent you from going back through the same sector over and over and, hit the top speed on, like try it until you get the top speed. So they're trying to, keep things moving so you don't end up doing that. So yeah, the time limit, as long as you keep things moving, you should be fine. And here we go, the second, or the instant 3 of hitting that top speed mark. 280, there we go. Alright. And, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really even necessary to slow down and speed back up to hit the target speed twice on a single straight, simply because there are 4 distinct locations where you can do it unless you make a mistake somewhere. And it's relatively, easy spot to hit the target speed. So I wouldn't, get too worried about, I wouldn't worry about it too much in terms of like trying to, set multiple instants on a single straight. If that makes sense. Also, because that will also slow down your lap time. And I said it's not a huge deal, but you don't want to be like running out of time either, because they do give you enough time, but enough time to get the goal in without too much struggle with like little mistakes like I am making here, but not enough that you can just kind of lollygag throughout the circuit. You do have to keep it moving. So there we go. Yes, those mistakes got me much closer to 350 that they wanted me to finish under. So 348 and change. Hey, important thing is it's under and we're good to go. So all right, not as good of a rank. The 9th, I think, is what I finished it. So payout not as good. Right, the 9th place finish. It's all right. Not too concerned about the actual motorsport dollar earning through this event. So, all right, so that's about 2/3 way down the service bars here. So I think I might have maybe 3 more laps left in this car before needing to service. And we got 2 more goals. So here, let's continue on. Goal 3. And this one is going to be drafting. 10,000 meters or 10 kilometers. The drafting distance counter is a good bit funky. It's not really counting like metric meters because it tends to go much quicker. Because Marina Bay street circuit here is about 5 kilometers, I think. Relatively, standard Grand Prix circuit length, right? So, I mean, that would 10 kilometers obviously would mean you need to draft like 2 full laps. We don't have 2 laps here, so that, in itself is impossible. But because of the counter being running a bit faster than what I think it should be, that's okay. I would rather have that than impossible goal. That's just frustrating. And this right-hander, starting of this like super tight curve section, with a very narrow sector, right? That first corner comes in very quick. So I always have to remind myself, like, yeah, don't go flat out quite all the way until you see the corner. You kind of have to prepare prior to, which is kind of theme here at Marina Bay, with just about every other corner being blind corner. Even when it's got a nice open inside like that, it's still, a bit of a blind side when it comes down to how you corner. So, yeah, but once you run it a few times, I think I'm really liking this circuit. This is a lot of fun. And I'm trying to put some extra practice in on this circuit from my Invitational and Champion Series, now that this circuit is included in both of those circuits. 3-lap cup is really good practice because that forces you to really move on up through the traffic early on, versus like 8-lap race is relatively easy because the longer the race goes on, more opportunities that you're given to overtake. So makes it a bit less stressful, or you have a luxury of taking your time with your overtakes versus the short 3-lapper cups are like pretty much from get-go you better be on the move. Anyway, just staying behind the one drafting partner, finishing 15th for 9-hole driver XP and 250 motorsport dollar reward. That's hardly a reward. My goodness. All right, so not, of course, gonna show up on the grid. Certainly not at the top. Let's see. Minute 58, 2:30. Keep going, and there I am, 2:46 and change. All right, 3:32 at the end. Romain at the end. All right, so that leaves me with like 2.5 service bars left, which means that's just what we need to get through this stage, as we only have 1 goal left at the end, goal 4, and 3 laps under 4:32. And keep an eye on your engine temperature. So basically, anytime you have to manage your things like engine temperature, it's very similar to the fuel management. Basically, you have to coast a little bit more than you would otherwise, avoid hard braking. So when you're charging into these corners, you just have to let up on the gas a bit earlier than your normal braking point, so you don't overload your engine, basically. And yeah, the way I believe it works out is essentially the longer you have if you're using tilt B like I am, your engine temperature will start to creep up as long as you have your right thumb on the screen. Make sense? So, the more crashes means you have to keep your thumb on the screen longer, which means you have, the bar, the engine temperature bar is going to creep up more. So, less you can keep your finger on there, your right thumb, the less likely you will be overheating the temperature of the engine. So, yeah, but of course, you gotta finish under a certain time limit. About minute 30, I believe, is what you can afford. Of course, with the first lap having the out lap, you are gonna spend a little bit more time. But alright, so lap 1, minute 30. Yeah, okay, so slightly over, but close enough that let's see how I do in the second lap, as this is a 3-lap cup. So with about now 2 minutes 40 seconds left on the clock, which as I am finishing through the first sector, which is first sector is the faster part of the circuit, and then second sector not as fast, and then the last sector is I think the one that will take the longest time. That's my guess. Although, if you guys remember from the stage 2, where we went sector by sector, the second sector was the one that was given the most amount of time to complete, like 37 seconds, because it comes all the way down here. Yeah. So maybe second sector is the slowest sector. And this one, you gotta get ready for that right-hander. Don't do what I did, skidding, which means you have to keep your thumb on that screen while your car is not accelerating. Getting messy. But lap time looks promising. It's, minute 29. Okay, so, and the elapsed time, right? The time that's left, actually, looks like I have just enough that without making those goofy mistakes, and hey, get a little bit of help from drafting partner, I should be able to get be able to wrap up this final lap under the time limit given. And I am pushing a little bit harder because the second lap, obviously, I did coast to make sure that I don't overload the temperature of the engine prior to heading into this final lap. So now I am on the final lap of this goal. I can pretty much push as hard as I can and keep my eye on the temperature gauge. And just under 28, 27 seconds. And a quick right-hander coming up here. That's a bad mistake. Don't do that. Now, engine's gonna be turning orange. But, this looks good. 10 seconds still left on the clock. Yeah, that's plenty. As we are finishing off the lap. And, yeah, with a couple of seconds still left on the timer. Not bad. Just under 4:30. This is a 4:29 and change. All right. And that is good enough for the first place finish. Just under 30,000 motorsport dollars for those 3 laps. So slightly under 10,000 per lap. Puts the car in red, but that's okay. We'll get it in for service since we're done with the stage, and we'll have to wait for the next stage till tomorrow. So, all right, stage 4 complete. And let's check out the rewards. 30,000 motorsport dollar reward. All right, let's pick that up, and there should be some gold reward as well. 10 gold for stage 4. All right, not bad. So, all right, pretty good shape for qualifying. So yeah, stage 5 tomorrow will be the qualifying stage, and stage 6 and 7 obviously will be the actual Grand Prix event. So all right, so stay tuned for those. But for now, thanks for watching. See you next time.